As y'all know, college basketball season is right around the corner. The preseason poll has been released. Now look, I plan to cover it all year. Y'all have to forgive me, all right? I know college basketball, right? But it's a tough sport to cover. The reason I say that is you need years in the game, for one. Two, the roster turnovers for a basketball team is insane. Not nearly the same as college football. Yes, there's roster turnover. Yes, there's different things. But for the most part, you keep a good bit of your players, and you kind of know what it is. But it'd be so many players coming in and out. Nonetheless, though, man, I'm excited to cover it this year, man. We're going to cover, like I said, on Thursdays on my Sizzle News podcast, Hoop Show. So y'all make sure y'all tune in every Thursday night for that. But let's talk about it. All right, I do think that North Carolina is a little bit slept on. I know Ian Jackson left. He went to St. John's with Coach Pitino. I like the true freshman they have coming in. And for me, it obviously starts with Caleb Wilson. I think he's that dude. I think he's a lotto pick next year. Kid is special. I've been seeing him since high school basketball here in Atlanta playing for Holy Innocents. Won a state championship. Kid is special, man. McDonald's All-American. Has practically every accolade. I think he's going to be a day one contributor for the Tar Heels. I think he should start early on and often for obviously North Carolina. And I think he's going to be a difference maker early on for their program, man. So he's willing to watch. Isaiah Dennis is another one, true freshman. We'll see what kind of burn he gets. And then the return of Seth Trimble. Those two guys I think should be very good for North Carolina Tar Heels this year. All right, let's go to 24 and obviously Wisconsin. Now, obviously we're talking about the Badgers. Now, when we look at their team, you break it down, right? The return, obviously, of John Blackwell would be massive for them. He averaged nearly 16 points per game this year, and he did a really good bringing in some players as well. I like the additions of Austin Rapp and Nick Boyd. I think it'll really help them in terms of depth this year. Again, in the Big Ten, you never know who's going to be that elite team, who's going to stand out. But those three guys should be able to have big years for the Badgers. Now, Creighton, I'm not too sure because you lost 4 of your top scorers from a year ago. Yes, you brought in some primetime prospects to come in and help you with that. You brought in Blake Harper and Nick Graves, but again, adjusting to that level, played at Charlotte, obviously if you're Graves. Harper played at Howard. You're playing a step level up of competition at Creighton. Not sure. Number 23, we will see. Now, same thing in the Big Ten for Michigan State. Great head coach, right? We know, obviously, what their head coach can do, what he's done, obviously, for years. And Tom Izzo, but it's like same thing. You're replacing a lot. No Jace Richardson is off to the league now. No Jaden Atkins either. And then you have guys that are returning that didn't. Well, they played decent minutes, but they didn't play a lot of minutes, and they didn't score a lot of points, right? So where do you get your scoring from? I think is my biggest question with this team moving forward. You bring back Cohen Carr, obviously. Bring back Jackson Collar as well. Can he take that next step forward in his development? And he brought some transfers in. Trey Fort from Sanford, 14.6 points per game. Caleb Glenn, 12.6 points per game at Florida Atlantic. Who's going to be your scorer? Now, for the Zags, you bring back Graham Ike, 17.3 points per game last year. Can you finally take a step forward if you obviously the Zags in this program? We will find out. Now, if you're Auburn, I would say 20 is a little bit underrated. I would say maybe around close to top 15, but you lost your coach, right? No Bruce Pearl. You're going to have his son, Steve. Now, obviously, as your head coach. Doesn't change anything. Nobody hit the transfer portal. Everybody's coming back. Tahad Pettiford's the player to know here for the Tigers. How elite will he be this year? Should be the starter. Last year was the big 6 man, obviously, for the Tigers in the program and what they were doing. But will obviously be the starter this year. How good would Caden Magwood be? Can he be a contributor as a true freshman for, obviously, the Tigers? And then how do you replace the production of a Chad Baker-Mazara, who's now at USC in his final season, and also Janai Broom, who's no longer on your program, a guy that you leaned on when your offense was struggling to get the ball to get a bucket. So we'll see how the Tigers look this year, but a big year on, obviously, the Plains for Auburn. All right, next up is Kansas. Everybody's talking about Darren Peterson, man. How elite will he be? We know about Bill Self, the obviously lifetime contract he has, how good he's been, obviously, with the Jayhawks throughout his tenure, man. But does he have the team in order to make some noise? Not a good year last year for Kansas, right, according to their standards, right? I think it was a first-round exit. Team has to be better, but how elite year one will obviously Darren Peterson be? I think is one of the biggest questions I have because he's going to be a big part of their ceiling and how good the Jayhawks will be. Now, I think Tennessee's a little bit low at number 18. I think this team's going to be really good. I think they did a good job in, obviously, the portal, bringing in guys. I think they did a really good job with this freshman class. You look at Native Mint. I think it was over 37 scouts, or might have been, it's either 37 or 29 scouts came to come see him for a pro day, right? And he hasn't even stepped on a Tennessee Vol court yet in terms of playing in the actual basketball game. But you bring him in. You got Ethan Butlerberg, who comes in. And then Jacoby Gillespie, who was formerly of Maryland, who comes over now, who I think is going to be a big role, coming back home, wants to play for the Vols, always wanted to put on the uniform. I think this team is going to be good. They're going to have to figure out their rotations early, but they're going to get tested early, right? You got an exhibition against Duke. And then, you're going to have several big games early on in the season to test how good of a program you actually are. I think it'll be intriguing to see how good the Vols will be. 18 is a little low. I do like them around like the top 15. Now, Illinois is going to be a team to watch. I think they will be better I like him at number 17. I think bringing in a shooter like Andrei Stojakovic, excuse me, from Cal to come in and help you scoring wise, being able to shoot the ball, put the ball on the floor. He averaged 18 points per game last year for Cal. You add in Tomislav Avicic as well, who is returning for you. Should be a team that should be able to space the floor and shoot the ball at a high clip. 17 on a bad spot. Now for Iowa State, hit the portal, brought in obviously several incoming transfers. The biggest player I'm excited to see who's returning for Iowa State is Joshua Jefferson. He averaged 13 points per game last year for the Cyclones. How will that emergence of all that talent that they brought in, how will it obviously be, how will it work out? Be something to watch this year for the Cyclones to see if they can take a step forward in the Big 12. Now, Alabama lost a lot from last year's team, right? No more Mark Sears, who averaged 18.6 points per game. No more Chris Youngblood, who averaged 10.6 per game. No Nas Cunningham, who obviously did a red shirt. No more Darion Reed anymore as well. And also no Jaren Stevenson. So how do you replace that? The good thing is they brought back LeBaron Philon, which should help them out a ton. Couple that with a player I think that will be very good for them this year and take that step forward. Don't look at the stats, but Jalil Bethea, that should be a player that should step up big for Alabama this year from Miami. Coming out, he was a highly ranked player in his class. Noah Williamson will also be a great addition to the team. Average 17.6 at Bucknell. Should be obviously a great contributor. Probably start off the bench, come in and help them contribute early. Now the Razorbacks, man, big year for them. You bring back some key pieces. You bring back Carter Knox. You bring back Trevon Brazel, right? And then you obviously bring back the big one, DJ Wagner, for another year under obviously head coach John Calipari. That's massive for you. You did lose some pieces, obviously. Boogie Flan, who's now at Florida. So that kind of stings a little bit, but you feel like you got a pretty good team. And once again, under obviously Coach Cal, he recruits at a high level. I mean, bringing Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas, they should be instant contributors for your program, and the Razorbacks should definitely help you out a ton. So Bama should be all right, man. I like him at not Bama. Arkansas should be all right. I like them at number 14. All right, now Arizona might be the most interesting team, I think, this upcoming year, obviously, playing in a conference, because look at what they brought in, right? Bryce James, we'll see the role that he has this year, but the big name is Koa Pete. Pete was a top 10 ranked player per ESPN 100. You also bring in Brandon Burries to go along with a Jaden Bradley, right? Now, obviously, you lost a key piece in obviously Caleb Love, who's obviously played in college basketball for a long time, averaged 17.2 points per game. He was your big shot maker down the stretch, but guy that you gave the ball to. Who will be that new guy that emerges for you would be interesting to see. I'll be sure with UCLA, I can't wait to see how this kid they got out of the portal, Donovan Ditt, will perform this year, obviously in the Bruins uniform. 20.4 points per game at New Mexico. He would be interesting to watch. Now, obviously, the Cardinals, I think they will be a top team in the ACC this year. When you look at their program and obviously what they have, should be a team that's talked about way more. But yeah, Mikael Brown, that's going to be like the key player for them moving forward. Obviously, they bring back some key pieces too, and Kashawn Pryor and Javon Hatley. But I think Mikael Brown could really be the player that comes in as a true freshman that is an instant contributor and gets them, obviously, as a top 2 team, I think, in the ACC. Now, Texas Tech, the sophomore to watch, man, is Christian Anderson. He looked so good that freshman year, man, for them, and he's going to be asked to score a lot. Played a key pivotal role for the Red Raiders last year, and obviously they bring back a lot of good talent, but Christian Anderson's the guy I think to watch moving forward and should obviously be a standout player. Now, they just released first team all SEC, and guess who's on that list? Otega Uwe for Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's going to be an exciting team to watch. Credit to Mark Pope, the recruiting job he's doing. The Wildcats are an exciting team to watch. I think the addition of a Jaden Quintanez along with a Jalen Lowe, along with Jasper Johnson out of the as a true freshman pickup, it's going to be massive for them. Yes, he lost some pieces, man, but I think once again Kentucky will be a good basketball program. Now, BYU, it's all going to start with AJ DeBonsta. This team was really good last year. I don't think everybody thought BYU would be that good, but this team has like top 3 potential, a chance to get deep into the college basketball tournament. But how good would AJ DeBonsta be? Now, for the Wolverines, the incoming freshman to watch to see how good they're going to be is Yaxel Lindenberg. 17.7 points per game at UAB. We'll leave it at that. Duke, I like number 6, right? Some polls, they would rank really low. I think ESPN didn't have them ranked this high, but they should be a good team. Isaiah Evans should be a starter for you. You obviously got Cameron Boozer, Caden Boozer in there as well. You bring back, obviously, Malik Brown, Caleb Foster. You should be a good team this year. Can't wait to see how Duke is going to look. John Shaw obviously got that new extension. St. John's, Ian Williams going to be the player to watch for them, obviously under head coach Rick Pitino. Can't wait to see how they're going to look this year. Should be another exciting program. Now, for UConn, you bring back Alex Caravan, obviously a senior for you. He'll step up big. Silas DeMary is going to be a player to watch, I think, for the Huskies this year with his veteran leadership. Huskies should be a good program this year, a lot better than last year. Now, for Florida, you bring in Boogie Flan, man, new team, but you bring back the rest of your front court with Alex Condon. You should be a top team in the SEC this year, in my humble opinion, and obviously one of the top coaches in Ty Golden. All right, Houston, another interesting team to watch this year. Bring back Emmanuel Sharp. Will Chase McCarty see the floor? How good would the veterans be this year? Now, Purdue's always ranked high in this poll. Will they finally reach their potential? That's the biggest question for the Boilermakers. There y'all have it. That's my reaction to the poll.